hope everybody out there is doing good. I'm Jeremiah Collier with Hunting with a Passion, and just wanting to do some campfire stories, if you will. Don't have a campfire here at my house, and so I'm not as cool as old Seth Bird, but we'll have shop talk, if you will, if you want to call it that. But want to just talk about myself a little bit and how I got started in hunting and all those different things. But I just grew up all the time in the outdoors. Since I was little, I love being in the outdoors, love being outside. When I was in kindergarten, if I had a break, if I got school over, I grabbed my BB gun, I went out in the woods, I just romped around. I'd be out in the woods till supper time, you know. And sometimes Mama would worry about us, but she knew we'd be back in order to get a meal before bedtime and everything. So I'd lived as much as I could ever since I could about walk out in the woods, and they could testify to that. So I love the outdoors. I had a coat. I've always been kind of a real tree man. I always liked their patterns. You'll see me every now and then wearing mossy oak, and I got some of their camouflage as well. But I love Realtree. I really do. I love Realtree. I wear that as often as I can. Got a Realtree shirt on now. And I had a Realtree coat that I got for Christmas for my birthday when I was younger. I wore that thing all the time. I would not take it off at all. My mom said she'd have to wait till I went to sleep at night, and then she would sneak in my room and take my coat off so she could wash it. And so I remember it being in the washer dryer. And Mom, where's my coat? Where's my coat? I need my coat. Oh, I had to wash it, son. And I'd put that thing back on. I loved it. I loved camouflage. I'd wear camouflage to church if Mom and Dad would have let me. And I just loved being outside and all those different things from a young age. My dad hunted. His brothers hunted. It was a family tradition. When I was younger, I can remember cousins would come up from Arkansas and stuff, and for opening day of rifle season, and we would have a big breakfast. We always had a big breakfast. They'd come over to our house, and Dad would cook biscuits and gravy and hash browns, fried potatoes, whatever it might have been, bacon, eggs. I mean, everything. You name it, we had it. And we would eat a big breakfast, and we'd all sit around the table, had people around the table, and we had just fold-up table, you know, in the living room. We'd have that set up because there were several of us in there, and they'd just talk and where everybody's going hunting that day, and what are they hoping to see? Oh, I ain't shooting but a big buck, or this, you know, just talking, giving each other a hard time. And my dad, he was old school. I remember he didn't hardly ever wear camouflage. It was kind of the old just flannel and just whatever he had on and just whatnot. And my older cousins they wore Realtree. They decked out. I mean, they looked more like the professional hunters. And I'd always make fun of my dad just kind of not wearing the camouflage. But most of the time, and they were great hunters, still are today. But most of the time, Dad'd come back with a deer, and he'd be like, look, I might shoot a 223, 55 grain bullet, and I might wear flannel, but I'm killing just as many deer as y'all are. But so just good family fun, just hanging out. And I remember that, and I want my kids to experience that. I love deer camp. I love the atmosphere of it, and just talking, hanging out. I love killing animals. I'm a killer. I got a buddy out in Arkansas, and he said, y'all are killers. And so I'm a killer, but I also just enjoy everything about hunting. I enjoy the chess match. I enjoy all that, and have since I was a kid. And my dad has taught me so much. My uncles have taught me so much. And just trying to live out there as much as I could in the woods and learn. And I felt like I learned more. I tried to learn more then than I do now. So I should probably try to sharpen my skills up a little bit. But I remember my first animal I ever killed. I had begged my dad to make a deer stand for me, like a tower, and it was about 8-10 feet tall, something like that. A little stand leaned up against a tree, like a ladder stand, if you will. And we set that up in the front yard. I grabbed my BB gun. I was a little kid, and pumped that dude up, you know, and was able to shoot a little bird. And I was pretending it was old Boss Gobbler, you know, and so I'll show you a picture of that when I was little killing that bird. Here it is right here. So you see the picture there, and I was pumped. You know, if you'll see in the picture, just like I got these turkey fans spread out that we killed out in Nebraska this past year, I spread that dude out. I was so proud of it. and been trying to kill things ever since. And so I remember my first deer I ever killed. I was 7 years old. Me and my dad went out hunting in a tower overlooking our family farm there on the fields, and a 3-pointer come out. He come out to the right and shooting single shot 223. Still got that gun today. That thing has killed more deer than you want to shake a stick at. And the deer come out, and I shot and knew I hit the deer. Dad didn't think I hit the deer. He took the gun from me, loaded one up, shot at the deer as the deer was running around. And Dad never hit the deer. Deer ran around in circles and finally fell over out in the field right in front of us. And we just blew up in the deer stand. I mean, you'd have thought I won the lottery. And we were so excited. My dad was so excited that he kissed me. And I was like, what in the world? But we were so excited it wasn't on the mouth. And so we were so excited in the stand. I mean, just jacked up, exciting. And if you've ever taken your son or your daughter, if you've taken a nephew or a niece or anything out in the woods and they are successful, you're more excited for them than they are. And I'm sure my dad was that day. And I remember getting out of the stand and walking down there, my 3-point that I killed, and I was so excited. And I've got that deer actually hanging in my son's room on a little plaque on the wall. But we'll show you a picture of that. Here it is. I was 7 years old when I killed that buck, and I just love deer hunting. I loved it before. I've been on several hunts, just not the shooter, but I've loved it ever since. I remember the first deer out of the same tower. I remember the first deer that I missed with a gun. It was a doe that come by, and I'd shot at her and I missed, and I remember I felt like I got gut shot. So I remember the first deer I missed. I obviously don't have a picture of that. I remember the first gobbler I missed, and it makes you sick. But I learned through success. I learned through failure. That's part of hunting. That's why I still get up in the morning. My wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going hunting. I love every little bit of thing about it. I don't love to miss, but that's part of it. That's called hunting. It ain't called killing. But I try to kill something. And so I remember my first deer that I killed. I remember the first turkey that I killed. I was between 7 and 10 years old. Me and my dad was obviously out in the woods. We was on about a 200-acre farm that was on mainly woods. And it was mid-morning. Turkeys kind of quit shutting up. They shut up. But it was mid-morning. Them hens were leaving them gobblers. And my dad knew I was just a little feller. And a turkey started gobbling mid-morning and just hammering. We were on an opposite ridge, so we got on the same ridge as that turkey was on. And we got set up, and I could see we're on top of this ridge, old Ridge Runner turkey. And the ridge kind of dipped a little, and then it went back up. Well, we sat down, and my dad had a slate call and had a stick, but he lost his stick. He's to stick to his slate call, so he found just a stick off the ground, and it wasn't working real good. It's why you actually need a stick. But I could call with my mouth, and I was a lot better then than I am now. But Dad's like, call up that thing, call. This turkey, pow, 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 he's hammering. And so I remember I just called, that's the call him out. And then, that sucker would gobble. And he started coming. Let me tell you, this bird was, he was on the love train fast. He was coming our way. And my dad could see him because he was higher, when you're sitting down than a little feller was. I was in between my dad's legs, had the 20 gauge U-stock, full barrel, 2 3/4 high brass. I'm sitting behind this thing, safety off. I'm itching. And Dad could see this turkey coming. I never could see this turkey coming. And Dad's like, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. Get ready, get ready, get ready, he's coming. And turkey stopped. The turkey was full running. And turkey stopped, and he was kind of coming up the hill. And Dad could see in his head. I couldn't see it. And Dad said, call, call, call. So and that's, pow. Here he come over the hill. And when I shot this turkey, he was running full blast right down to my gun barrel. I never let him stop. I just, knocked that sucker right off his butt. And I remember you talk about the funnest you ever had at an oak tree. And we just celebrated and got I carried a little ways out, but we had a long way to walk. And I remember carrying that, throwing that, when you first throw a turkey over your shoulder, your first turkey ever, and you're able, it's a good feeling. And threw that turkey over my shoulder, and we headed out of the woods. and I'm sure Dad carried it more than I did. We had a long ways to walk, and I was a little feller then. But that was my first turkey hunt when I was a young man, and Dad taught me how to turkey hunt. Dad has a lot of patience, my dad does, and I'm still learning that when it comes to turkey hunting. And my older brother, he's got a lot more patience than I am, and sometimes it's worked out to be patient. Sometimes it worked out to be impatient on killing turkeys. But I remember my very first nice buck. I'd killed a lot of 3-pointers, 4-pointers, 6-pointers, and we're tickled to death with them. And so just shoot whatever you're tickled with. But I remember one time we went out, me and my dad, opening day of rifle season. Excuse me, and we went out and got in this tower. We got out in the middle of the field on a different farm. And right at daylight, we're still setting our stuff up, putting the gun and, little Debbie snacks here and there and whatnot. And I look out one of the windows in this tower, and there's a deer. I can tell it's a buck. Dad, there's a deer, there's a deer, there's a deer. We get the old 223, old single shot all set up, get it out the window, and I took a shot, felt confident on the shot. And we had lowered, because the windows that it's a homemade tower, the windows in this tower were too high. And I'd shot and missed a 3-pointer, a 4-pointer in the youth season a few weeks prior out of this tower because the windows were too high and my butt was off the seat and so I was shaking. So in between the seasons, we lowered all the windows except one window. And which window do you think that buck came out on the side of? One window we didn't lower to accompany me. And so when I shot this 8-pointer, my dad said my butt was about 2 inches off the seat. And so my dad's like, you did not hit this deer. The deer took off running. I said, Dad, I know I hit this deer. We sat there for 3 hours. I'm still aggravated at him today. We sat there for 3 hours, watched some does and everything, hunting. And I'm like, ugh. You imagine a little, almost 10-year-old kid begging Dad, let's go see him. Let's go see him. I know I got him. And so we get down out of the tower, and this thing, the ridge in the woods, it just went straight down, just a slope, and that thing was just crashing the whole way, and he just fell running. And like old T-Bone Turner would say, where you want your taters plowed, where you want them planted. I mean, this dude just plowed away. And so we got down there, and you talk about excited, a nice 8-point, about 120-inch 8-pointer, and I thought I just killed, the biggest monstrous deer, set the world record. And I remember, my older brother was jealous, but I remember getting in the truck, loading that thing up, dropping the tailgate down, sitting on the tailgate of that truck, driving down the gravel road, and getting to show my cousins the deer that I shot, and my uncles and friends, and oh man, just rejoicing over the fact we were successful and we had a good hunt and all those different things. And I love to kill. I've got a friend down in Arkansas. He said, "You boys are killers." And so I love to kill. I love to kill animals. That's why we're going. But it's also hunting, and I enjoy every aspect of it. I enjoy getting out there, listening to the woods wake up. I enjoy all that. But ultimately, we are trying to kill something out there. So Seth, he's videoed a lot of his turkeys and deer and all that kind of stuff, and his early hunts. We didn't video to really this past year, but I got a lot of old pictures, and it's in the the big family photo book album, if you will, and I got a lot of those, and so that picture, it's a lot of the pictures are in albums. I've got pictures of almost every deer, turkey, squirrel, bird, whatever I've killed. I've got them in an old photo album. And I like looking through photo albums. We got social media nowadays, and we post everything I do. I'm just as bad as everybody else, but it's neat to go back through them old photos and look maybe what your uncles killed and your nephews or your cousins that killed and all those things. And I've got several in a picture book, if you will, of different things that I've killed and looking back through. I love all that. But we're about out of time here today. I hope you enjoyed it, know a little bit about myself, and here in Southeast Missouri, growing up and hunted here all my life, started from a young age, and we'll just probably continue on, have a little shop talk, a little campfire story, and just keep on rocking on. Hope you all have a good rest of your winter. We're kind of between turkey season and deer season, kind of sitting around doing nothing. but maybe you can be out there scouting on some public ground. Maybe you guys can be going out and trying to knock on doors, trying to get maybe some permission on some private ground right now. This would be a good time to do that, kind of in between the seasons here. So good luck out there.